Hey guys, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle, and today we're going to be doing a case study in which a guy gets laid from cold approach. Okay, this is great. And I'm just going to have a few things that I would do a little more efficiently with how he goes about, sealing the deal with this chick. But let's have a look at what he did. He titles it Hispanic Leg Influencer. He describes himself 5'10", Asian male in finance, stylishly dressed, early 30s. Her, she's 5'7", Hispanic girl, stylishly dressed, very long, thin legs, early to mid 20s. Background. I've been getting back into the swing of things recently. My new micro goal is to be more time, energy efficient about my cold approaches, i.e. instead of making a big thing of it every weekend afternoon, I just head out for groceries or a quick dinner after work on weekdays and get in some quick cold approaches. This ends up being much faster and also less socially draining for me. Absolutely, 100% agree. Make it part of your daily routine. Make sure your daily routine has you going out of your house as much as possible, and then simply approach women as you go about your day. Instead of having to sarge and spend hours approaching a ton of women, you just go about your day and you wait for opportunities to arise. Women pop up and you can go talk to them. Not only is it way more time efficient, way less stressful, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're shopping, getting groceries, and you're meeting women when they arise. The meat. After work, I went to the Kroger's for some groceries and decided to cold approach a few girls while I was there. Made 2 or 3 nice approaches while shopping, but nothing stuck. I decided to head home, and as I was walking home around 9 o'clock, well after dark, I saw the back of a girl wearing tight leggings. Her legs were very long and skinny, which is my ideal type. I walked closer to her and instinctively realized that this was going to be a harder approach since it was the nighttime and people are generally more on guard. Some of the time, my experience led me to intuitively modify my approach in 2 ways. First, wait until she passes from the area of relative darkness to an area of relative lightness underneath the streetlight. Very smart. This is what I would do. Number 2, wait until the current cars pass and the next set of cars are stuck behind the traffic light, so there's less noise pollution and she's less likely to mishear my initial approach. Perfect! Very glad that he's thinking about this. This is something that I would think of. I waited a few moments, pacing behind her until 1 and 2 intersected perfectly, then walked next to her, turned slightly towards her, began checking her out, which caused her to look at me, and then I said, "Your outfit is quite stylish." She responded warmly with thanks and complimented me back on my outfit as well. We continued bantering and chit-chatting for a bit. She was contributing well into the conversation, giving me tips. She told him to wear some pink, on how to make the girls go crazy for me. I countered that I think gay guys would go crazy for me then. We also laughed a bit about how men hit on both of us occasionally. The close. After a few streets of walking, I asked her, "Hey, want to trade numbers? Maybe get a coffee sometime?" "Yep." "Great." She smiled and said, "Sure." We chatted a bit more and we parted. Her final remark as she walked away was, "Don't get hit on by anyone tonight." Follow up. I texted her it was wonderful to have met and asked her for her schedule on when to get a coffee. Yeah, this is where a mess up that a lot of guys go to. They will ask for their schedule. I don't do this anymore. I pick a day and time. Can you make this day and time? And you wait. This cuts down on all this overthinking. If you ask a girl her schedule, she's going to overthink it and be like, "Oh, I don't know, when is a good time?" They are terrible planners, okay? So plan it for them. Just pick a day and time. Does it work for them? No. They will give you an alternative. You just wait and they will say well, does this day work for you? Does this time work for you? And then yes, you can gradually pin down a day. But none of this when are you free? What's your schedule like? A woman will never answer you with a firm answer in these scenarios because it's just there's too many options. There's too many options to pick from. She was a bit dodgy and flaky over text, but I just continued, casually keeping the conversation open and pinging her for availability. Yeah, this is what happens when you ask for a woman's schedule. Eventually, she agreed to meet for coffee on a weekend afternoon when she'll be already in the area shopping. Okay, he got it done. First date. We were supposed to meet at a coffee place at 12:30, and she texted me a little before saying, "Sorry, running a bit late. Can we meet at a later time?" This threw me off a bit because usually girls will say, "I'm going to be 20 minutes late." I wasn't sure how much later she wanted to meet. I replied, "It's fine. Let's meet at 1:30 then." She said sure, and we met then. She showed up very stylishly dressed. High-heeled brown boots, sheared black stockings, a plaid skirt, a top that revealed her shoulders, along with a beige trench coat. I was impressed. We got a coffee, I paid, and I sat and chatted for a while. Conversation was all right, not amazing. The point we connected most about was how she doesn't have a regular 9 to 5 job. She is sort of a social media influencer, apparently something to do with her stunning legs, and I wanted to leave my 9 to 5 for my own business of some sort. The bounce. I could tell our connection wasn't nearly good enough at this point, so I figured a few bounces would help. Yes, good instincts here. I suggested we go to the nearby department store since she was looking for a sweater there anyways. She didn't find what she wanted, so I suggested we go to a mall nearby my place where she might find what she wants, and she agreed, and we took the bus there. Then we got food in the mall, and then we looked for some dishes / cutlery nearby. Okay, this is getting a little out of hand. He's bouncing around from like a million different things and then getting food at the mall. At the end of this date, there's a potential for her to just be like, "Oh, okay, it was a good date. Like, I'm ready to go home." When you take a girl home earlier than this, like midway through the date, it just seems like it's part of the date. It doesn't seem like you're like trying to close the show at your house. You know, she's just like, "Okay, a little early to go back to your place, but you know, like whatever he has planned there, I'm down for it." It's way easier to bring a girl home after like a short little date than it is after these long excursions where you're like bouncing around. She's just like, "Whew, like I just want to go home and rest." Okay, the pull. I was getting a bit late at this point. Yeah, obviously. I offered her a drink of whiskey at my place before she heads home. She initially was cagey about it, but eventually agreed. Just for 10 minutes. They all say this. A lot of women will say, like, just for 10 minutes. It's only going to be for a little bit. I've got work tomorrow. Yeah, it's just like plausible deniability. You know, just in case something happens, don't expect, sex to go down. She expressed fear that I might abduct her. I joked about it and kept it as nonchalant as possible to keep her at ease. The escalation. This is where he messes up. After drinking and chatting for some 20 to 30 minutes, I went for a kiss, which was pretty awkward. Of course it is. Okay, this is what happens to all guys when you try to kiss your way to the bedroom, when you try to kiss your way to the promised land. You get a lot of resistance because it doesn't arouse women. It doesn't get women horny. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It just deflates sexual tension. There are better and way more efficient ways of going about this. I will email you the escalation guide if you want to know how to do this and save yourself the 2 hours of struggle that this guy's going through. Less so that I didn't do it right, more so that she's pretty inexperienced with kissing. No, it's just that kissing just doesn't arouse women. It deflates sexual tension. But she subsequently put her legs on top of mine and went through the standard physical escalation stuff. Yeah, this is way better. Her legs on top of yours where you're touching her legs and getting closer to her nether regions. That is when stuff starts heating up, okay? That is how you escalate, not kissing your way to the promised land. The physical escalation lasted probably 2 hours. Okay, way too long. I could tell she was pretty new to sex, taking this huge, long amount of time to turn herself on and convince herself that she wanted this. No, it's not her responsibility to turn herself on. It is your responsibility as a man to get her wet and wild and ready for action. Okay? This is not on her. It's just your bad escalation technique. Kissing is not going to do the job. There are better ways to do it. There is an escalation guide that I will email you that will, solve this problem for you way more efficiently than this 2-hour process that you're going through. Doesn't get a girl wet, doesn't go to turn a girl on. And as soon as you crank up that sexual tension high enough where a girl is, primed and ready to orgasm, she's going to want to go through with it. Or she already orgasms. She's going to be like, okay, like get a condom out. Let's do this. And it can happen very, very fast, even with virgins, even with very inexperienced women. It doesn't matter. This is on you. This is your ability to physically escalate. This will determine, how successful you are. The whole time I had this attitude of, I could take it or leave it. I'm just enjoying myself right now. She eventually asked me if I had a condom, and we did it. Okay, despite his fumbling around for 2 hours, she eventually okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. You can cut that time down to fractions of that, okay, if you know what you're doing. After sex, she hung around a bit and asked me about her performance. I could tell she was pretty self-conscious about the whole thing. I gave her some minor tips, but ultimately I had a great time and called her an Uber and we said our goodbyes. Okay, everything seems to went, swimmingly so far. Keys to the lay, multiple bounces. I agree. I think this is probably what helped. My calibration was fairly good to read that she wasn't ready for the bounce right after coffee. This was confirmed because she was hesitant to go to my place even after multiple bounces, so she definitely would have refused right after the coffee. I wouldn't be so sure of this. Here's why. When you go through all these, this long, arduous date where you're, bouncing around, grabbing dinner, grabbing, lunch at the mall, you're visiting this department store, you're going to that department store, by the end of the, near the end of the date, this woman is going to feel like, okay, this is a good date. I'm ready to go home. It's good. We both had a good time. I'm ready to go home. The date's finished. Whereas if you invite a girl home in the middle of a date when things are just picking up, it's like, oh, okay, we just started the date and we're going home to your place. Okay, I guess. I wonder what he has planned. She's not thinking about sex going to your place. She's just going to hang out. We're going to chill out. We're going to make dinner. We're going to make food, watch some Netflix, watch some movies, whatever it is. And it's a very relaxing date. And things just happen to heat up when the two of you are together on your bed watching a movie. Way easier to do that. Way less resistance than having this huge date where you're doing all this stuff and then you finally at the end of the date, oh, let's go back to my place. It's okay, I pretty much know he's going to expect me to put out. And you want to avoid that in most cases. So I don't think his key was because I went to so many places that she finally agreed. Being nonchalant and not pushy in the escalation. Yes, of course, this is perfect. No one should be pushing. She often said things like, we shouldn't do this. We just met. And I would respond with, you're right. We definitely shouldn't do anything, with a smile. I basically let her convince herself she wanted this. Yes, when women put up resistance, I never try to convince them, okay? And the better you are at arousing women and getting them super wet, the less you have to worry about oh, we shouldn't do this. I don't feel comfortable doing this. We just met. I don't know you. If you get a girl aroused enough, all that will go out the window. Being patient, I know a lot of these articles say to move faster, but in this case with a relatively inexperienced girl, I really needed to empathize with her inexperience and nervousness and let her know that she could move at her pace all throughout the interaction. When she was back at my place, I could literally see her mind going 100 times speed, thinking through by herself what sex would mean for her and ultimately convincing herself. Of course, we're not forcing these women. We want these women to be as, horny and ready for action as we are. Okay, that's the only way this is fun. And you do that by making them aroused instead of trying to logically convince them, with all this stuff. An experienced guy will take an inexperienced woman like this and she won't think about oh, we just met, I barely know you, because she's get turned on so much she can't put the brakes on the freight train. She's so horny, she's just what's it gonna feel like? Do you have a condom? All this stuff, all this resistance goes out the window as soon as this woman, is wet and ready for action. Lessons / sticking points. Mainly, this was the first time I pulled off a street approach in the dark of night lay. This was also perhaps the third or fourth time that a very inexperienced girl, maybe virgin, decided to become intimate quickly with me, someone she perceives as very experienced. It's counterintuitive, but I kind of understand it. She's really nervous about the whole thing and wants someone who is. I'll get into that. This is a key point. A lot of guys will complain that, these high lay count guys like myself only get trashy women. We only hook up with women. You only get low quality women because, these women put out so easily. En contraire, my friend. In fact, the more experienced you are, the higher the likelihood that you will find inexperienced women or even virgins. Okay, I have been with plenty of virgins, plenty of inexperienced women because they are attracted to experienced men and that know what they're doing. All the other guys would have fumbled this escalation. Only experienced guys know how to push these buttons. Which is why experienced guys often end up with a lot of inexperienced women, what guys would call high quality women, because they're low body counts or zero body counts. It's the players that usually find these women, okay? and they're not exactly hard to bed. In fact, I would say inexperienced women are easier to bed than experienced women. They don't know how to turn off their attraction, how to turn off their arousal. They'll just like, oh, like, let's do this, like, let's go. This is amazing. I haven't felt this. Experienced women know what they're doing. They can put the brakes on that. They're like, oh, okay, I can see things heating up. I'm going to put the ice on this to try to cool myself down. Inexperienced women don't do that. Anyways, this is what he has to say. Why she would be after someone more sexually experienced is because she doesn't particularly care about me. That could be the case. She just wants the guy to like lose her virginity to. That's rare. That can happen in some cases though. That won't judge her. Absolutely. This is so key. Experienced guys do not judge women for sleeping with them quickly. Okay? Only like the prudes, the basically like virgins, inexperienced guys shame women for putting out early. I don't think how quickly a woman sleeps with you has anything to do with her quality. In fact, it's a better indicator of how well the man knows how to seduce women, how to arouse women. Because if you know how to do that, if you can arouse women quickly, you'll get laid with complete virgins all the way up to, highly experienced women as well. There is no distinction. The guy's going to be chill and experienced and not add to her own anxiety and stress. Absolutely, this is a very positive thing, which is why inexperienced women look for experienced guys and ensure that one of her sexual experiences won't be a disaster. Plus, he won't become clingy to her afterwards. I don't think they're so much worried about that. Most of these women are going to be clingy to you after the fact. Okay, you have to be careful with that when you're dealing with virgins. Okay, you have to be like, I've done this in the past. I've gotten women that are virgins and they are so like turned on. They're ready to go. And they're like, what would it feel like for you to be inside me? And I say like, we're not going to do this today. Okay. I want you to go home and think about like this. If this is something you really want to do, if you're okay with doing this, you've made the decision, because right now you're just like so turned on. You're not even thinking clearly right now. So just go home, have a think about it. And then if you're down, call me up and we'll take it from there. Okay. But I don't want you having any kind of regrets, like, oh, I don't know, I thought you were going to be my boyfriend. You just took my virginity and I'm not even your girlfriend. Yeah, a lot of hurt feelings can come with virgins when you like sweep them off their feet. You essentially like, you turn them on so much that they stop, thinking about the consequences of her actions. Oh, her parents are going to judge her. Her friends are going to judge her. There's a lot of like baggage that a lot of these women carry about their sexual reputation. So you have to be very careful with that, because it can come back to bite you. Her parents could come to you and be like, you took our girl's virginity. Like, she said you forced her. All kinds of like bad things can happen in these situations. So protect yourself. With great power comes great responsibility. When you arouse these girls so much and they're ready to like, lose their virginity with you, you have to say like, we're just going to put this on ice for now. You're going to go home. I'm really attracted to you, but I want to make sure that you're clear in your thoughts and that you don't have any regrets about losing your virginity, okay? This is just to protect myself from potential repercussions. And maybe you'll get a call back saying like, look, I thought about it. I'm still ready to like see you, ready to take it from there, and finally like lose my virginity with you. Great, then you can seal the deal then. But be careful, okay? You don't want people, all of a sudden changing their mind that it wasn't consensual or anything like that. This is to protect yourself. Sometimes these days, I feel like I'm providing a service to these girls, swooping into their lives, literally off the street, to perform therapy to help them resolve past sexual traumas and to give them a safe place to gain some sexual experience. This is good. This is what I feel as well. When I hook up with a woman, I want it to be a positive experience for me and a positive experience for her. I want her to be like, even if we're not a serious relationship, I'm glad we hooked up. You swept me off my feet. You made me feel amazing. And whatever happens from here is all good. You're still in my good graces. Whether we have a relationship or not. That is what you were shooting for. Anyways, guys, that's the video. If you need help doing this, cold approaching women, getting laid with all different kinds of women, You know, the street has, you know, the biggest variety of women you will ever meet. I help guys do that. There's coaching links down below, and I'm guaranteeing your results. No other coach guarantees results, okay? And I do because I'm that confident I can help you. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching.